which also includes the IELTS exam books to prepare for those exams. We are delighted to be partnering with Goyal Publishers and Distributors, which Mr. Ashwini Goyal is here, and Vinny is also somewhere around, and Dr. Elaine Higgleton, Publishing Director, Collins Dictionaries and Languages, is also here from the UK.
Thank you very much for coming today. This talk's going to be in two parts, and the first part is going to be about expressing plural you in English. Now, as a lot of you will know, one of the main features of Collins is that we have a very, very big corpus of English, over 4 billion words at last count. And this corpus includes data from newspapers, magazines, books, publications of all kinds from all over the world. It's got Indian content in it, American content, UK content, Canadian content, Australian, New Zealand, South African, all kinds of English varieties represented in our corpus. And it also fully reflects the spoken language as well as the written language. And the corpus underpins everything that we publish. And one of the books that we're launching tonight is the new edition of the Collins Co-Build English Grammar. And this book has been thoroughly revised and updated based on corpus findings. And one of the things I'm going to be talking about tonight is the corpus evidence for how speakers of English express the concept of plural you. So why might we be interested in this? Well, obviously, if there's no way of expressing a plural you, it can lead to ambiguity and to misunderstanding. So let's have a look at the historical perspective first. This is what the situation was up to the end of the 17th century. There was the singular form thou, thee, thy, thine, and you, your, and yours was the plural form. In the 16th, 17th century, there was a shift, possibly through the influence of French. Now, French was a very influential language on English. Lots of the vocabulary that we use has come directly from French. And we think that because French has two forms, tu for singular and vous for plural, and the vous form is also used to show respect in a singular context, we think that this influenced the use of you in English, and thou, thee came to express familiarity and eventually also contempt. We're all really familiar with some of the thou forms that have fallen out of use now, and I'm sure everybody recognises this and is very familiar with this. And of course we also have the other forms, which are perhaps more familiar to people who are very familiar with the King James Version of the Bible. Hallowed be thy name, and thine is the kingdom. So we're still reasonably familiar with these forms, but we don't use them anymore. The forms last have remained in some dialect forms of English. Fred Truman, who I'm sure lots of you will have heard of, very famous Yorkshire cricketer, uses the form thee in the 1960s, and it's still found in some Yorkshire speakers today. And I've got a video of him here. So if you have to listen very, very carefully to this, because it's quite quick. See if you can hear what he says.
Back in a couple of minutes, sit down. Back in a couple of minutes, sit down. Back in a couple of minutes, sit down.
So he's saying, back in a couple of minutes, see thee then, see thee then. So it's still used in some parts of the country. Very occasionally, thou or thee will be used if it's needed for rhyme. And the next clip that I've got to play is a clip from the Kaiser Chiefs. So see if you can hear thee in this.
Watching the people get married, it's not very pretty, I tell thee. Watching the people get married, it's not very pretty, I
So did you hear? He was saying, watching the people get leery, it's not very pretty, I tell thee. And they've deliberately used thee there because it rhymes with leery. What does leery mean? Anybody familiar with that word? It's a very strong, informal slang UK term. It means aggressive, particularly when drunk. But it can be very ambiguous to use just you when we have no plural form. This is the linguist Ola Linga, in his blog Languages, Literature and the Pursuit of Dreams, describes how he deliberately uses the ambiguity here. He was used to meeting up with a girl and her friend together, but he wanted to take one of the girls out on a date. He was a bit embarrassed about asking her, and he thought he might get turned down, and he didn't want to be humiliated. So he sent her this text: "Hi, I'm going out to have a bite to eat. Would you like to come along?" And what he's doing here is playing on the ambiguity of you, because you could mean you and your friend, because I usually see the two of you together, or it could just mean you on your own. So he's leaving it to the girl receiving this text to decide what it means and to answer appropriately. Now, when he blogged this is the response that he got from somebody. You is always plural, never used here, ever. It's always modified to you or y'all or some such. The girl would definitely think you meant just her. But he didn't think that was the case. But obviously there's a lot of ambiguity around this. So what we've done is we've looked at the different ways that people distinguish and disambiguate between you singular and you plural. And these are some of the forms that we looked at. You guys, you two, you both, you all. But also what are called synthesized forms. Yous, ye, yins and y'all. And I'll play one of these for you. See if you can hear this. This is spoken in quite a strong Scots accent.
Are you going to the game tonight?
Are yous going to the game tonight? And this one is not quite so clear. This is ye.
What are you doing?
What are ye doing? And they're both synthesized forms to mean you, more than one person. So we've looked at how these are used. So the first bit of evidence we've got here is for y'all, and this is a tweet. This brings conclusions to my birthday. Thank you all for all the love and tweets. You all made my 21st amazing. And that's from a guy in Arizona. And then we've got this from somebody in Coatbridge in Scotland. What songs do yous recommend for the morning drive? Need a change. I live in Scotland, and when my window cleaner comes to do the windows, he says, do yous need your windows done? And then this is ye. This is from Ireland, Dublin. Hey guys, just to remind you that the Young Guns are playing at 1 p.m. today. And this is yins. Yins is only really used in a small part of the US, in Pittsburgh and in parts of Pennsylvania. And Beale has written that the increasing acceptability of you all in the southern US and the spread of yous in Britain suggests that in the future the singular plural distinction may even be restored to standard English. Use is getting increasingly common now in the UK. So next we had a look at corpus evidence for you guys, you people, you folk, you folks, you girls, you ladies, you men, what it means. It's much more about reusing that word properly for the IELTS exam. So we give lots of help with collocation, phrases, usage. And then we have the skills book, speaking, listening, reading, writing. As you know, the exam comes in 4 parts, one part for each, one exam for each of those 4 skills. And then we've got vocabulary and grammar for IELTS. I'll just whiz over that. Then we have a lower level, get ready for IELTS, which is for students who are starting to think about the IELTS exam but maybe haven't taken it yet. Then we've got some content for the TOEFL and the TOEIC exams, which of course are the exams that need to be taken for entry into universities in the US. And again, we've got skills books and the keywords books focusing on the vocabulary that's needed. Then we've got the Agatha Christie readers, and these are abridged forms of the Agatha Christie novels, simplified vocabulary to make it accessible to students who are wanting to improve their reading in English, as well as a CD-ROM with the audio version of the book so the student can listen as well as read. We also include a glossary of difficult words, and very importantly, a glossary of cultural terms that the student might not understand. If you were to ask a 16-year-old in the UK what a telegram is, they wouldn't understand, they wouldn't know what we're talking about. So we've got that kind of cultural, historical information in the glossary.
Such a wonderful talk, and I really admire people who spend so much time on language. And I used to think Germans are the one who are very serious on languages, because they changed their spelling rules about 10-15 years ago, and they had a big study on language. But it's really impressive to see all these 4.5 billion words. It's really incredible, and somebody having the time to study those and bring out the patterns and things. But thank you very much for your talk, and I would like to thank, of course, our esteemed guests who, in spite of being holy tomorrow, took out the time to come and show their support to this venture, which is low-priced books at affordable price. Collins was always available in India, but we, being specialized in low-priced books, our margins are extremely low, and we would like to pass these margins to the students to make them more affordable. In fact, SAAB, a lot of people think SAAB is, we are calling ourselves SAAB. SAAB is South Asian Affordable Books. So it's money for affordable books we are making. And so Dr. Dinesh Singh, he's here from KB, he's really big support, and Dr. Peasley from Max Muller Bhavan, where I started my career in the language studies, and I met my wife also, but not through him. And all the other distinguished Professor Bhaskar is here. He's running a school for English teacher, and all other distinguished teachers and professors and principals. I'm really much obliged with, in spite of such a short notice that we have, and I promise you that we have discussed already with Collins that we would do much more specific need workshop for school or college or institutes teachers, to train the teachers, and it's our 6th or 7th trip, I think, in India in the last 3 years, and they're really committed and dedicated to promote the language, even the Indian English language. And thank you very much for all.